Week 2 of the Houston Texans OTA practices are officially underway, and with that being said, we have a lot of news, notes, highlights, observations to talk about in this video. And before we jump into that, I do want to give a big shout out to all of the Houston Texans media team out there who worked so hard getting this footage. They put it out on Twitter, so make sure you guys go follow them right now. Drew Doherty, Sean Bajani, Cody Stutes, Aaron Wilson, and so many more. Go follow them on Twitter right now. Give them, a follow because they post all these highlights so quickly, and I want to give them credit for, bringing out this footage so we can put a commentary over and kind of give you, the update on some of these players and how they're looking at practice. Now, also before we jump in, comment down below a player or two that you think could break out this season for the Houston Texans. Now, it could be a rookie, a second-year player, a veteran, maybe even someone they just signed or traded for this offseason. For me, I think Joe Mixon is going to be able to really take this team to the next level in the running area, but also being someone who can catch the ball at the backfield, giving them a sense of unpredictability. In my eyes, I think Joe Mixon is going to be such a big addition to this football team. We also look at some of the other big acquisitions they made in Stefon Diggs and Danielle Hunter. I mean, man, this team is going to have such a good season. One more underrated one that I want to bring up is Jeff Okudah. I think Jeff Okudah, obviously a former top 5 pick, I think if he reaches somewhat of his potential, and we know what D'Amico Ryans can do in terms of getting guys to their potential. I mean, look at Derek Stingley of last season as well. If Jeff Okudah can reach his potential, this might be the best secondary in football with not only Derek Stingley as a first-round pick, but Jeff Okudah, CJ Henderson, a second-round pick in Jalen Petrie, Kamari Lassiter, a second-round draft pick. I mean, this team has a ton of early-round draft picks, and I think D'Amico Ryans will be the guy to get him to that full potential. Now, let's start breaking down a little bit of what happened at practice today. Now, one of the biggest things to talk about is Stefon Diggs. He is here. He is finally at practice, finally with the team, and making strides, trying to build rapport, trying to build chemistry with CJ Stroud, but also other guys like the Tank Dells or the Nico Collins, right? So obviously the first look of Stefon Diggs at practice, here you go, here it is, all in this video. You're gonna see him a couple of different times, right? But also the good thing about Stefon Diggs is, one of the biggest things that stood out to me anyways was the fact that they finished 7-on-7s and he went right over to a guy like John Mechie and started mentoring him, right? Telling him where to be better, telling him where to improve and how to get open more, how to create more separation, right? So the biggest thing about Stefon Diggs, he's coming in here with the mentality of, yeah, I'm the alpha, I'm probably the wide receiver 1, but at the end of the day, I need to set up my teammates in position to not only get better as time goes on, but make sure they're put in the right positions to succeed here in Houston, even when I leave. So I think Stefon Diggs has not only taken that alpha role, but also taken that mentorship role where he can help his teammates get better. So that was one of the biggest things we saw at practice today. But another one was Nico Collins. Now, before we let's talk about Nico Collins real quick. The thing I love about Nico Collins is a lot of times in the NFL, when guys get their big bag, when they get that next contract of just a lot of money, right? They get an ego, right? They start being like, okay, well, I don't really need to practice that much because I initially worked my butt off to get to this position to make my second contract. And now that I'm here, now that I'm this high of a level of a player, I don't really have to work as hard in practice because they know my value and they pay me that money, so I don't have to work as hard. I don't got to compete as hard in practice. But that's kind of the opposite approach that Nico Collins took. He said, I got my money, I'm going to work even harder now. I'm going to make sure that they know that they made the right decision by paying me, X amount of money, right? So I think Nico Collins came out here today and just looked really, really good, man. Was taking individual routes and individual team drills, perfectly, right? He was going as hard as he possibly could, which is something you just like to see, man. Like to see guys continue to work every single day. We also saw some more active players here at practice. Now, before we get into that, actually, do me a favor, subscribe if you're new, join the family, hit the like button. It's free, doesn't cost anything to subscribe to the channel. We will be covering the Texans throughout the entirety of the offseason, which will include the rest of OTAs, the rest of mandatory minicamp, preseason, training camp, regular season, everything you could think of. We've got you guys covered. But also, we're going to be breaking down film as well once the season starts. So make sure you guys join the family if you haven't already done so. And again, go check out the Texans media team, man. They've such a good job, man. Great work. I appreciate you guys so much for putting out these highlights for us to break down. But Danielle Hunter was at practice today. Obviously, Stefon Diggs was there as well. But you talk about a guy like Danielle Hunter who is going to be able to come over here and be, you know, the 1A or the 1B, whatever you want to, however you want to call it here, alongside Will Anderson in this edge rushing duo, man. This is going to be so fun to watch. I think these two could probably be the leading sack duo in the NFL. But you know, we'll see how they continue to progress, how they continue to build chemistry along this D line. They bring in Foley Fatukasi. You bring in Nico Collins from Indiana. You still have Mario Edwards and Tim Settle and Derek Barnett, right? So I think they have a really good depth here at some spots, but there's also a couple of guys who are starting to break out here in terms of UDFAs. One being Philadarius Payne. He is a guy who is probably one of the best UDFAs to be signed, and the Texans got a bunch of them, right? So this dude is, and he has a chance. He definitely has a chance to make the 53-man roster. And of course, it is just OTA, so he's got to wait a little bit until the pads come on and whatnot. But in terms of athleticism and just, you know, the raw talent of Payne, I think he's got a shot to really make an impact on his team. And he's not the only one that's been standing out as a UDFA. Also, Max Tooley, linebacker from BYU, is a guy that, you know, they don't necessarily need, but I believe that, again, when you look at what he's done through his collegiate career and you just look at what he's, you know, accomplished, you just don't know how he was a UDFA. I don't understand at all how he is a UDFA, but man, he is definitely fighting for a backup linebacker spot at either the Mike or Will position behind Hill and Hewitt. But obviously, you talk about his ability to just add depth and versatility to that lineup right away, right? So he's the guy you guys need to watch out for. British Brooks as well, running back from North Carolina. Again, do they need another running back? Not really. You have Joe Mixon, you have Damian Pierce, you have you know, Dare Agwale. You draft a 6th-round running back in Jahar Jordan, so, and you have J.J. Taylor. So I'm not saying Brooks will make the roster either, but again, these guys have been standing out so far, so definitely keep an eye out on them going forward. And the last guy I want to talk about today, Shaq Mason, was at OTAs as well. He was ready to go, which is good, right? We're always just looking to make sure these guys are healthy. Last year, they dealt with a lot of injuries, and this year it seems like they're just so much more healthy and so much more ready to go for the start of the season. And there's just so much talent along this offensive line with Titus Howard and Shaq Mason and Drew Scruggs, Kenyon Green, Laramie Tunsil, Kendrick Green, right? Jared Patterson, Blake Fisher. So they have so many guys here working for a day one starting job, and you know, the depth that they have is insane. So let me know what you guys think. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, join the family. Some big news, a lot of guys coming back to practice today. Stefon Diggs, Danielle Hunter, Shaq Mason, Nico Collins looking really good. Joe Mixon building chemistry, still out the backfield with CJ Stroud. So definitely a great day here in Houston, and don't worry, we'll keep you guys updated with any more news, notes, highlights, observations that come out. Again, go subscribe to the channel and follow all of the media member or for the Texans, man. Of course, they're gonna make sure you guys are kept up to date too. So join the family, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.